Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. did a lot of things that would get most boxers yelled at in the gym. He kept his lead hand low, started exchanges with the rear hand, and threw hooks from spots that looked too low to be safe. Against James Toney, that is exactly what made him hard to deal with. Toney expected normal sequences he could read. Jab first, right hand after, reset. Roy kept skipping steps. The right hand came first, the hook showed up on the way out, and the counter window was gone before Toney could settle. Roy's low lead hand made the left hook hard to track. Roy did not bring it from a neat high guard where opponents could see it load up. He whipped it from lower positions, sometimes while stepping in, sometimes while moving offline. The awkward timing made it hard to read. The Virgil Hill knockout is a perfect example. Roy keeps the posture relaxed, gives Hill something to look at upstairs, then rips a left hook to the body and drops him. That was Roy at his best. He could take positions that looked open, messy, and irresponsible, then get to the punch first, still. Emanuel Navarrete. A textbook boxer is supposed to set his feet, stay planted, and throw from positions that leave him ready to defend or reset. He throws while leaning, reaching, and drifting out of line, which is why his offense can look messy or wrong. Most fighters lose control once their stance starts breaking up. Navarrete keeps attacking through it, turning broken balance into sustained pressure. Against Oscar Valdez, Navarrete kept denying him the clean resets his style depends on. Valdez had the cleaner form, but Navarrete kept extending exchanges past the point where a normal boxer would have reset. He would throw while still moving, then fire again before Valdez had a clean read on the next shot. The extra angles and constant follow-up kept Valdez flat-footed. Against Liam Wilson, he leaned into the imbalance and made Wilson pay for every inch of space he tried to reclaim. Prince Naseem Hamed. Every coach tells you the same thing. Keep your hands up, protect your chin, and do not leave yourself open. Nas ignored all of it and still became one of the most dangerous punchers of his era. He made the fight chaotic before the opponent could settle into anything clean. His hands were low, his feet were lively, and his upper body kept moving. That made it hard to see the moment the punch was coming. He was breaking the normal visual cues that fighters rely on to read each other. Against Kevin Kelly, Kelly was landing, but Nas was answering with sharper shots and better angles every time the exchange opened up. Against Wayne McCullough, he kept the same loose, hands-down style and controlled the fight from range, never giving McCullough the steady rhythm he needed to build momentum. Terence Crawford. Textbook boxing says you pick a stance and stay in it. Switching mid-fight throws off your balance, resets your footwork, and gives the opponent time to adjust. Terence Crawford switches constantly and still became the pound-for-pound king. He mastered the switch and used it to take away what was working for his opponent. Orthodox fighter landing the right hand, Crawford goes southpaw and closes that angle. Southpaw trying to jab from outside, he matches and takes away the range advantage. The opponent loses their timing, while Crawford already knows how to attack from the new setup. Against Errol Spence in 2023, Spence started strong with his power right hand. Crawford went southpaw early, stuffed the right hand, and turned the fight into a clinic. Spence never adjusted. Against Egidius Kavaliauskas in 2020, Kavaliauskas pressed forward with his jab. Crawford flipped the stance, landed a left hook counter, and dropped him in the second round. He controls fights from positions most fighters would never risk. Emanuel Augustus. Coaches teach you to stay balanced with weight centered over your feet. Emanuel Augustus leaned into punches, rolled at odd angles, and stepped out of position constantly. Floyd Mayweather called their 2000 fight one of the toughest of his 42 pro bouts. His style broke every rhythm rule. His upper body rolled unpredictably, footwork looked off balance. Punches came from spots where most lose all leverage. Conventional coaching says this costs power and leaves you exposed, but Augustus prioritized making opponents miss over landing perfect shots. In that Mayweather fight, Augustus changed levels constantly and slipped at the wrong moments. Mayweather could never settle into his rhythm and had to reset after every exchange for 10 straight rounds. Against undefeated Terrell Finger in 1999, Augustus used the same drunken movement. Finger could not adjust to the shifting angles. Augustus baited him into overcommitting, then cracked him with a sharp, straight right as Finger lunged in. The punch landed flush from an awkward angle and dropped Finger, showing you did not need textbook balance to finish a fight. Subriel Matias. Standard defense starts with distance control. Subriel Matias walks straight into range instead. Head still, guard loose. He became a dominant force at 140 pounds despite breaking that basic rule. Textbook coaching calls this reckless. You trade too much damage on the way in. Matias makes this work by outlanding opponents through sheer aggression. Against Petros Ananyan in 2019, Ananyan dropped him twice early. Matias walked through the counters, kept the pressure on, and stopped Ananyan in the 11th after relentless bodywork wore him down. Against Jeremias Ponce in 2023, Ponce picked him off with jabs from outside. Matias closed every time, took the cleaner shots, and methodically broke Ponce down until the corner pulled him out in the 5th. He did not avoid the punishment. He pushed right through it and forced Ponce to either stand and trade or give up the ring. Isaac Cruz. Shorter fighters learn to angle off the center line. Isaac Cruz walked straight up the middle instead, eating power shots to get close. He built a top reputation at 135 and 140 pounds this way. Against Gervonta Davis in 2021, he marched through Davis's counters and turned what looked like a style mismatch into a hard, competitive fight. Cruz absorbed clean left hands, but kept closing distance, forcing exchanges in the pocket and taking rounds with persistent pressure. By the final stretch, Davis was using movement just to avoid getting trapped. Against Francisco Vargas in 2022, Cruz showed how that kind of approach breaks opponents down. Vargas found clean uppercuts early, but Cruz kept stepping through and ripping the body until Vargas's legs gave way. He didn't wait for perfect openings. He kept advancing until the fight lost structure. Textbook defense says slip a punch and then reset to safety. Cruz flips that idea completely. He treats every bit of contact as a chance to push forward. He doesn't defend by escaping the pocket. He defends by never leaving it. Once he's inside, few lightweights can handle the pace or punishment that follows. Sergio Martinez. Sergio Martinez fought with his hands low because he trusted his eyes more than a high guard. While most fighters shut down their vision behind tight hands, Martinez stayed open and upright, using his posture to see punches come and counter them before they fully landed. It looked risky, but the low hands kept his arms relaxed for faster counters. Against Paul Williams in the rematch, Martinez leaned away from the jab, watched the right hand come, and met it with his own left cross before Williams could finish the motion. The knockout came out of nowhere because Martinez wasn't trapped in a steady rhythm. He had the freedom to see and react. In the 2012 fight with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Martinez moved like a dancer, changing direction mid-step and throwing while shifting weight. He didn't stay planted for long exchanges. He struck, moved, and made opponents chase him into bad positions. Toney. Toney broke the usual mold of defensive boxing. Most fighters stay tight behind a guard and roll in predictable arcs. Toney used the shoulder roll like a weapon, shifting directions mid-sequence and letting offense grow straight out of defense. His stance looked simple, but the rhythm underneath was complex. Against Evander Holyfield in 2003, Toney rolled inside the right hand and fired back with short counters that landed before Holyfield could reset. During his middleweight run, especially against Michael Nunn and Iran Barkley, Toney made the roll part of his attack. The movement that slipped punches also set the angle for the next shot. He stayed close, altered timing, and punished any attempt to fight in rhythm. Textbook boxing says you reset after defending. Toney never did. Each slip carried him to a better position. Each roll shaped the next counter. Nicolino Locche. Nicolino Locche broke every rule of defense. He stood square, kept his chin high, and barely used his hands to block. By normal standards, that approach should have gotten him punished, but Locche made it work. Against Takeshi Fuji in 1968, his posture looked open, yet every time Fuji attacked, the punches skimmed past without landing clean. Locche slipped and leaned just enough to make whole combinations miss while standing in front of him. It worked because he was able to read each punch before it came. Years earlier, against Abel Ladonio, the pattern was the same. Ladonio tried to overwhelm him with pressure, but Locche saw every shot early and countered before resetting to center. He used small movements and exact timing to drain rhythm from the attack. Locche proved that defense could dominate without flash or power. Stillness became his control, and timing became his protection. El Intocable wasn't a nickname built on myth. It was earned in every round where opponents learned they simply couldn't land clean on him. Joe Calzaghe. Most fighters plant their feet before they punch, so their balance and defense stay intact. Joe Calzaghe ignored that rhythm completely. He kept moving as he threw, shifting angles and letting his combinations roll before the opponent could reset. The motion looked messy, but it gave him control of tempo and timing. Against Jeff Lacey in 2006, his activity overwhelmed the fight. Calzaghe punched from different positions without pausing, forcing Lacey to cover up and fight purely on defense. The volume broke his rhythm before damage even set in. In 2008, against Bernard Hopkins, Calzaghe used the same approach to take away timing. Hopkins tried to slow the pace with clinches, but Calzaghe kept throwing through the gaps, turning those interruptions into moments of offense. He set the pace of the fight from start to finish. He didn't try to have perfect form or have perfect punches. He kept the fight unstable and used rhythm to stay ahead. Once that tempo started, opponents had to adapt. Joe Frazier. Most heavyweights apply pressure by walking straight forward behind the jab. Joe Frazier moved differently. He slipped, rolled, and wove his way inside, using head movement to stay elusive while still gaining ground. Each motion kept him safe and set up the left hook that defined his style. Against Muhammad Ali in 1971, that rhythm changed the fight. Frazier slipped under the jab, shifted across the front foot, and came up off the front step with the hook as Ali pulled back. The timing made it hard to read. The punch didn't fire from a set stance like most fighters. It came straight out of his movement. In fights with Jimmy Ellis and Jerry Quarry, he pressed with the same rhythm. Frazier bobbed forward in short steps, punched as he moved, and refused to give space once he was inside. His defense and offense merged together until every head roll carried him toward another exchange. Once he found his rhythm, the left hook was always just an inch away.